healthy. Today we're doing eggs Benedict. Already just started toasting the English muffins over there. We got some pre-softened butter ready to smear on them. We got our water gently simmering away for the poached eggs. And another thing of water for our bain-marie for doing our double boiler for the sauce. Some butter, we can go and get that on a very low flame. There we go. Okay. Go ahead and smear English muffins with the butter. I know it seems strange that for a dish that already has a lot of butter in it, it's like drenched in butter-based sauce to butter the muffins, but I find if you don't, they just always come out dry and it really affects the entire dish. So I always butter mine. Don't worry if it doesn't melt right away. We're going to place this in a warming oven with the ham, and the butter will melt then. All right. Get a ham on top. And stick those down in the warming oven. And that ham is already cooked, so that's just gonna let us gently warm up that ham a little bit. Okay, so we started to melt the butter. I've got 2 egg yolks here in my metal bowl, wire whisk. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure my poaching liquid is ready. So for that, we've got our simmering water. I'm gonna add a lot of salt and a little splash of distilled white vinegar. And for the hollandaise sauce, you can do 2 tablespoons of white wine vinegar. Bring that to a simmer. Generous pinch of salt. Okay, so we can let that reduce down by half, and then we're going to drizzle it into the egg yolks. Then we're going to cook the egg yolks over the double boiler until we get to the ribbon stage. And then once we're down to the ribbon stage, we're going to remove that from the heat, and we're going to drizzle in the melted butter. It's important when you're melting the butter, you want to keep that buttermilk, that foamy white stuff, you want to keep that intact. You don't want to lose that. It's also very important when you're reducing the vinegar to keep a close eye on it, because that can go very quickly indeed. The eggs, for the poached eggs, I have pre-cracked into 5 bowls. I always do 1 or 2 extra depending on how many I'm making, because it's very easy for, well, you almost always end up with having one that doesn't come out quite right. Okay. A little bit further there. And butter is really close. I'm just going to hold that over a pilot light down here. That will just help to keep it warm and gently melt the rest of the way. Okay. Almost there. Okay. Now when you're drizzling in the vinegar, you don't want to scramble the eggs, so you want to just drizzle it in and whisk continuously. And once we got that done, we're going to put it over a double boiler. We can crank this up now. But if you've never done this before, it might be a good idea to do it on a low heat. Another thing you can do if you've never done this before, take it on and off the heat, because it will continue to cook quite a lot after you take it off, at least another 30 seconds or so. The biggest mistakes people make when they're doing hollandaise is either overcooking or undercooking the eggs. Oh, there we go. See them just starting to cook around the outside. See how it continues to thicken. And then the ribbon stage is when you pass that whisk through and that line that you make stays for usually at least 3 seconds. So you can see 1, 2, 3, still slightly liquidy, but pretty much staying in place. All right. So now we're going to get our pot, bring it over, place it on top of a damp rag, place another damp rag on top, get my melted butter, and when you're adding the butter, try to add as much of the buttermilk in as the beginning. And some people use clarified butter for this, but then when you use clarified butter it comes out too thick, so you have to thin it out with water. I would rather use the buttermilk. This is just like when we were making our mayonnaise, just adding a little drop at a time, whisking it continuously until it's completely homogenized. If you can still see oily streaks around the outside or anywhere at all really, then you don't want to add any more until that's all gone. All right. So we've got our hollandaise, but we're not quite at a nappe consistency. It's a little bit thick right now. We need something a little runnier to go over the eggs. So I'm going to go ahead and add in a tablespoon of my salted acidulated water. Give it a nice runny nappe consistency. I'm going to put this over on that pilot light again. Keep a kind of close eye on it. There's a good chance that it will thicken up a little bit more, and I'll need to adjust the consistency before I finish the eggs. All right. So for the poached eggs, we got the water. Technically, this is slightly higher than a poach. A real poach should be like you barely even see the water moving at all. We're at kind of like a low simmer right now, but for poached eggs that actually works out a little bit better. And bring my eggs over. There's some water coming to the cup, and then drop it down. Do them in a circle. That way I should have a decent idea which one should be done first. Okay. Get this out of my way. All right. I've got a slotted spoon and a rubber spatula. The rubber spatula is just in case I need to get under and release them from the bottom, but I don't think I'm going to need that, which is a good thing. It doesn't hurt at all to have higher water for this. Even 4 or 5 inches is great, because that way you're going to make sure they pretty much cook before they get down to the bottom. And I've got a half sheet tray with paper towels, so that I don't want them to go straight from the water onto the English muffins. And test them by gently picking them up. You can help to round off the shape by using the side of the spoon there. Not quite ready yet. Traditional eggs Benedict, the egg yolk should be still very runny. And that might be my reject right there. See how the egg white isn't totally surrounding the yolk. When they start floating, that's usually a pretty good sign, but you can also see how the egg white here isn't opaque yet. It's still kind of translucent, so we want to go a bit further than that. Oh, while I'm waiting on that, I can go ahead and check my hollandaise. good amount of acidity. You see, just over the couple of minutes it was sitting there, probably not even a couple of minutes, it did start to thicken up a bit. So just a little bit more water. Try and stay at that nice nappe consistency. Okay. How are we doing here? Okay. Almost there. Alright, that's just about where we want to strain off just that liquid as possible. And there we go. Oh yeah, that one's not awesome. Preferably you want that yolk to be totally encased in the white as much as possible. All right.